السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Recently, I bought Darus Salam's Sahih Bukhari. I brought Bukhari and Muslim and just one volume. Right, subhanAllah. All the 7,563 hadith of Bukhari are there in this. And English, they translate into 9 volumes. So imagine. So, Alhamdulillah. Someday, inshallah, we'll buy other books also. But as of now, I just bought Sahihain. This is Darus Salam's version, very good version, obviously. Darus Salam. You'll get 4 volumes also, 3 volumes also. I believe for Hadith, you should have just 1 volume, it's enough, at least for the Kutub Sittah. And Darus Salam has this whole collection of all the Kutub Sittah. So let's begin 41. Babun. This is all Kitabul Janaiz we are reading, right? Kitabul Janaiz. Babu man lam yudhhir huznahu inda al-musiba. Someone whoever shows no sign of grief and sorrow on the falling of calamity. وقال محمد بن كعب القرظي الجزع القول السيء والظن السيء. وقال يعقوب عليه السلام إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله. Muhammad ibn Ka'b al-Qurazi said impatience means a bad saying or a bad thought. Al-Jaza', he says what? Qawlu sayyi. So somebody passed away, somebody dies, so you say something wrong. Or some thought comes, oh, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this to me? Or why did this happen? That is not allowed. Some person is sitting in the corner and crying without wailing, like we saw in various hadiths before. It's also some cried at the Battle of Mu'tah and other battles by Sahaba, where he was very sad also. And when his son Ibrahim radiallahu anhu also died. So wailing is a problem, or speaking something wrong is a problem. That is jaza, impatience, or a calamity. And Yaqub alayhi salam said, "Innama ashku bathi wa huzni ila Allah." I only complain of my grief and sorrow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's see some hadith. This is 1301. قال حدثنا بشر بن الحكم حدثنا سفيان بن عيينة أخبرنا إسحاق بن عبد الله بن أبي طلحة أنه سمع أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه يقول اشتكى ابن لأبي طلحة فمات وأبو طلحة خارج. This is a famous hadith of Abu Talha نعم رضي الله عنه and his wife رضي الله عنها. فمات أبو طلحة خارج فمات وأبو طلحة خارج فلما رأت امرأته أنه قد مات هيأت شيئا ونحته في جانب البيت. فلما جاء أبو طلحة قال كيف الغلام؟ قالت قد هدأت نفسه وأرجو أن يكون قد استراح. وظن أبو طلحة أنها صادقة فقال فبات. فلما أصبح اغتسل فلما أراد أن يخرج أعلمته أنه قد مات. فصلى مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بما كان منهما. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لعل الله أن يبارك لكما في ليلتكما. قال سفيان فقال رجل من الأنصار فرأيت لها 9 أولاد كلهم قد قرأ القرآن. سبحان الله. Anas ibn Malik say one of the sons of Abu Talha died. I'd look at the patience of the mother of Abu Talha. And Abu Talha at the time was not at home. When his wife saw that he was dead, she prepared him and placed him somewhere in the house, washed and shrouded him. Subhanallah. I mean, may Allah protect us. To see one of your children dying in your own lifetime is, it's something which is very painful. And it's a test which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests some of us. May Allah protect all of us. When Abu Talha came, he asked, how's the boy? He asked what? Kaif al-ghulam? He said, the child is quiet. And I hope he is in peace. Abu Talha thought she had spoken the truth. Abu Talha passed the night and in the morning took a bath. And when he intended to go out, she told him that his son had died in the morning. Abu Talha offered the morning prayer, subh prayer, where the Prophet informed the Prophet, like my wife did this. She did not inform him. The Prophet said, may Allah bless you both concerning your night. That means you get good offspring. And Sufyan said, the narrator says, I saw they had 9 sons, subhanallah, and all of them reciters of the Quran. Yani, Qurra. قد قرأ القرآن يعني هم حفاظ. All of them, subhanallah, they became memorizers of the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. يعني alhamdulillah. This is how sabr, no? Sabr. And the dua, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahumma ajurni fi masibati wa khluq li khayran minha. This is the dua we should do. نعم. Allah will change something better. Babu as-sabri 'inda as-sadmati al-ula. And this is very important. The sabr should be at the first stroke of calamity. Now, when the problem comes, that time you should have sabr. Because later on, anyone will have sabr. It's there. And وقال عمر رضي الله عنه نعم العدلان ونعم العلابة. Umar radiallahu anhu says how good the two equals are. ونعم العلابة الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. علابة is the reward. The translate as reward. الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة, when afflicted with calamity, they say إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة. For them are the salawat, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and mercy. وأولئك هم المهتدون. It is they who are the guided ones. So Umar says how best are they when the problem comes, they are saying إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وقوله تعالى واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين. And the statement of Allah, and seek help in prayer, patience and salah, and truly it is extremely heavy and hard. What is hard? Both. وإنها. So it's going back to the prayer, I believe, no? The prayer is extremely hard and difficult, except on the ones who are khashi'un, the ones who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's see some hadith. This is the hadith of the woman, I believe. قال حدثنا محمد بن بشار قال حدثنا غندر قال حدثنا شعبة بن ثابت قال سمعت أنس رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الصبر عند الصدمة الأولى. We should remember this. الصبر, the real patience or the patience, is at the first stroke. صدمة الأولى, the first stroke of calamity. And this happened when a woman was sitting on the grave of her husband, and she was crying, and who are you? Go away. She said to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Rasulullah said, when she came again and started apologizing, that as-sabru inda as-sadmatil ula. Babu qawli nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam inna bika lamahzunun. This is the Rasulullah saying on the death of Ibrahim radiallahu anhu, indeed we are grieved by our separation. وقال ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تدمع العين ويحزن القلب. Ibn Umar said, the Prophet said, تدمع العين, the eyes shed tears, ويحزن القلب, and the heart grieves. Heart grieves on the death of Ibrahim رضي الله عنه. This is the hadith. قال حدثني الحسن بن عبد العزيز حدثني يحيى بن حسان حدثنا قريش وهو ابن حيان عن ثابت عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال دخلنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على أبي سيف القين أو سيف القين وكان ضئرا لإبراهيم فأخذ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إبراهيم فقبله وشمه. ثم دخلنا عليه بعد ذلك إبراهيم يجود بنفسه فجعلت عين رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تذريفان. وقال له عبد الرحمن بن عوف رضي الله عنه وأنت يا رسول الله؟ وقال يا ابن عوف إنها رحمة. ثم أتبعها بأخرى فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العين تدمع والقلب يحزن ولا نقول إلا ما يرضى ربنا وإنا بفراقك يا إبراهيم لمحزونون. رواه موسى عن سليمان بن المغيرة عن ثابت عن أنس رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is the hadith where the passing of Ibrahim radiallahu anhu, when we went with Allah's Messenger to the blacksmith Abu Saif. He said what? Ala Abi Saif al-Qayn, blacksmith. And he was the husband of the wet nurse of Ibrahim. Husband of the wet nurse. وَكَانَ ضِئْرًا لِإِبْرَاهِيمَ. ضِئْر is someone, wet nurse, who suckled the child. His husband is called ضِئْر. So some took Ibrahim and kissed him and smelled him. Later we entered Abu Saif's house, and at that time Ibrahim was in his last breaths. May Allah protect us. Ibrahim was, he was passing away, and Rasulullah started shedding tears. Abu Abdurrahman ibn Auf said, وأنت يا رسول الله, oh Allah's Messenger, even you are weeping. He said, يا ابن عوف هذه رحمة, إنها رحمة. يا ابن عوف, oh son of Auf, oh Ibn Auf, this is mercy. And then he wept more and said, the eyes are shedding tears and the heart is grieved. ولا نقول, and we don't say anything إلا ما يرضى ربنا, except what pleases Allah. O Ibrahim, indeed we are grieved by our separation. So this is how a moment believer should be. Our eyes can shed tears, but our heart will be grieved, but we only say what it pleases our Rabb. And it's very difficult, very difficult. It's easier said at the time. Yeah, to control people, to control your children and your other people, wife and others, mother, to stop crying, and it's a it's a calamity, it's a test. Babul bukai inda al-marid, to weep near the patient. So somebody is sick and you're going and you're weeping at his place. قال حدثنا أسبغ عن ابن واحد قال أخبرني عمرو بن عن سعد بن الحارث الأنصاري عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه قال اشتكى سعد بن عبادة شكوى له فأتاه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يعوده مع عبد الرحمن بن عوف وسعد بن أبي وقاص وعبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه فلما دخل عليه فوجده في غاشية أهله فقال قد قضى. قالوا لا يا رسول الله. فبكى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلما رأى القوم بكاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بكوا فقال ألا تسمعون إن الله لا يعذب بدمع العين ولا بحزن القلب ولكن يعذب بهذا، وأشار إلى لسانه، أو يرحم، وإن الميت يعذب ببكاء أهله عليه. وكان عمر رضي الله عنه يضرب فيه العصا ويرمي بالحجارة ويحثث بالتراب. Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he became sick, but he would, became sick, and I believe he lived a long time, but he was sick. So Rasulullah went with three people. One is obviously Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and then Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhum visited him to inquire him. So four people came to Sa'd ibn Ubadah's radiallahu anhu's house. When he came to him, he found him surrounded by his household, and he asked, قد قضى عليه, has he died? قالوا لا يا رسول الله. They said no, no. So the Prophet wept, right? And Rasulullah and people also started weeping. He said, will you listen? So Rasulullah wanted to teach them that they might wonder why is Rasulullah weeping. Allah does not punish or bestows his mercy for shedding tears, nor for the grief of the heart, but he punishes because of this. Lisanuka. He pointed to his tongue and said, the deceased is punished for the wailing of his relatives over him. And we talked about last time, there was a difference about between the Sahaba, and the correct opinion is if the person who is dying, he did not prohibit his people from wailing and shouting, and he did not give a wasiyah, he did not admonish them, then he might be punished. He might be punished. He is deserving of punishment, Allahu Alam. But if a person used to stop the people, stop his wife and children and everyone, wives, mothers and sisters and brothers, not to his whole family, that you should not cry after a while, you should not wail with loud noise, you should not tear your clothes, you should not hit yourself, then inshallah ta'ala he will not be punished. Umar used to beat with a stick. Umar he used to beat with a stick, was wailing and throw stones or put dust over the faces of those who used to wail over the dead. No wailing. And this is a very difficult thing. Babu ma yunha min an-nawhi wal bukai wa zajri an dhalik. What has been prohibited for wailing, nawha, wal buka, crying loud, was zajr, scolding, those who practice them. He should scold. those who حدثنا محمد بن عبد الله بن حوشب حدثنا عبد الوهاب حدثني يحيى بن سعيد قال أخبرتني عمرة قالت سمعت عائشة رضي الله عنها تقول لما جاء قتل زيد بن حارثة وجعفر وعبد الله. And this was the hadith we just talked about. Abdullah ibn Rawaha جلس النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يعرف بالحزن وأنا أطلع في من شق الباب فأتاه رجل فقال. We read this hadith. أي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن نساء جعفر وذكر بكاءهن فأمروا بأن ينهاهن فذهب الرجل ثم أتاه فقال قد نهيتهن، وذكر أنه لم يطعنه، فأمره الثاني أن ينهاهن، فذهب ثم أتى فقال: والله لقد غلبنني أي غلبنانا الشك من محمد بن عبد الله ابن حوشب، فزعمت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: ففحت في أفواههن التراب، فقلت: أرغم الله أنفك، فوالله ما أنت بفاعل وما تركت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من العناء. This is the hadith of Mu'ta. Narrated Aisha, when the news of martyrdom of Zayd ibn Haritha, Ja'far and Abdullah ibn Rawaha came, the Prophet sat down looking sad. And he was in shock and he was very sad. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was looking through the chink of the door. A man came and said, "Oh Allah's Messenger, the women of Ja'far, they..." And then he mentioned they crying. The Prophet sallallahu ordered him to stop them from crying. The man went and came back and said, "I tried to stop them, but they disobeyed." The Prophet sallallahu ordered him for the second time to forbid them. He went again and came back. He said, "They're not stopped. They did not listen to me or us." Aisha said, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Put dust in their mouths." I said, "May Allah stick your nose in dust, humiliate you." That is a very commonly used. By Allah, you could neither stop the women from fulfilling the order, nor did you relieve Allah's Messenger ﷺ from his distress. Like, why are you coming all the time again and again and again? Either you should stop them or you leave them. Khalas. He's coming and disturbing Rasulullah all the time. So Aisha, she told the man, قال حدثنا عبد الله بن عبد الوهاب حدثنا حماد حدثنا أيوب بن محمد عن أم عطية قالت: أخذ علينا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عند البيعة أن لا ننوح، وما وفت منا امرأة غير 5 بنسوة: أم سليم وأم العلاء وابنة أبي صبرة امرأة معاذ وامرأتين، أو ابنة أبي صبرة وامرأة معاذ وامرأة أخرى. Umm Atiyah said, at the time of Bay'ah, Rasulullah also took a bay'ah: you will not wail. One of the conditions from the women was they would not wail, but it was not fulfilled. Subhanallah. And she remembers by name. And she doesn't count herself also. Umm Atiyah, none of them fulfilled except 5 women. And she named Sulaim. Subhanallah. These were the women. Al-Ala, daughter of Abi Sabra, the wife of Mu'adh. And 2 other women, on the daughter of Abi Sabra and the wife of Mu'adh, and another woman. Only 5 women they were able to fulfill. That's a test for the women also, a greater test than men, obviously. Babul Qiyam lil Janazah, standing for the funeral procession. قال حدثنا علي بن عبد الله حدثنا سفيان حدثنا الزهري عن سالم بن ربيع عن عامر بن ربيع عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إذا رأيتم الجنازة فقوموا حتى تخلفكم. قال سفيان قال الزهري: أخبرني سالم النبي أخبرنا عامر بن ربيع عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم زاد الحميدي حتى تخلفكم أو تودع. Neither Amir ibn Rabi'ah, the Prophet ﷺ said, whenever you see a funeral procession, stand up till the procession goes ahead of you. And this was later on removed till the coffin leaves you behind or is put down. Because when should one sit after standing? I'll tell you the ruling, inshallah. I'll just search it. But let's read this hadith. باب متى يقعد إذا قام للجنازة. قال حدثنا قتيبة بن سعد حدثنا الليث عن نافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن عامر بن ربيعة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إذا رأى أحدكم جنازة فإن لم يكن ماشيا معها فليقم حتى يخلفها أو تخلفه أو تودع من قبل أن تخلفه. The Prophet ﷺ said, if anyone of you sees a funeral procession and is not going along with it, then he should stand and remain standing till he gets behind it, or it leaves him behind, or the coffin is put down before it goes ahead of him. قال حدثنا أحمد بن يونس حدثنا أبي ذئب عن سعد بن سعيد المقبوري عن أبيه قال: كنا في جنازة فأخذ أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه بيد مروان فجلسا قبل أن تودع، فجاء أبو سعيد رضي الله عنه فأخذ بيد مروان فقال: قم فوالله لقد علم هذا أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهانا عن ذلك. فقال أبو هريرة صدق. Hmm? Sa'ad al-Maqburi said that his father said, well, we were accompanying a funeral procession. This was after Prophet ﷺ passed away. Abu Huraira caught hold of the hand of Marwan, and they sat down before the coffin was put down. Then Abu Sa'id came and took off Marwan's hand and said, get up. By Allah, no doubt this Abu Huraira knows that the Prophet ﷺ forbade us to do that. Abu Huraira said, he has spoken the truth. He has spoken the truth. So they keep reminding each other, no? The Sahaba, radiallahu anhum. They keep reminding of the hadith, and this is how we should be. Just keep reminding that there's a hadith, why sitting, and so on. So Shaykh Ibn Baz says it is mustahab, it's not wajib, because there are other hadiths where the Rasul was sitting, and he said, "Innama qulna lil malaika," indeed we stood for the angels. So so this is sunnah. Allahu a'lam. حكم القيام الجنازة. So there are no المسألة الأولى حكم قيام من مرت به الجنازة وهو الجالس. So what is happening is a janaza is going by and you're sitting. اختلف أهل العلم في هذه المسألة على القولين. Scholars differed in two قولs. القول الأول opinions, two opinions. كراهة القيام للجنازة لمن مرت به ولو كان في المقبرة سابقا، وهو المعتمد في مذهب الحنفية والحنابلة، ونقله بعض الشافعية عن جمهور الأصحاب. قال ابن الهمام الحنفي, this is the opinion of حنفية and حنابلة. حنفية and حنابلة that it is مكروه. القاعد على الطريق إذا مرت به وعلى قبر إذا جيء به ولا يقوم لها وقيل يقوم. واختير الأول لما. So this is he's quoting opinions. القول الثاني يستحب. Then this is what seems correct. الله أعلم. He stands. وهو القول الآخر عند الشافعي ومذهب الإمام ابن حزم الظاهري. قال الإمام النووي هذا الذي قد يتم وقال الإمام. So this is an اختلاف. نستحب القيام للجنازة إذا رآها المرء. And they use the hadith, this hadith, إذا رأيتم الجنازة فقوموا لها حتى تخلفكم أو توضع. Okay, so this is the opinion which seems more correct. Allahu alam. So this is what if a janaza passes you, you stand up. That's mustahab. Allahu alam. But anyways, we have to see because there's a difference of opinion in this matter. المسألة الثانية حكم بقاء المشيعين للجنازة قياما في المقبرة. اختلف. This also is this. There's a difference of opinion again. Like you followed the janaza and you've gone to the graveyard, but they're digging and all that, so you stand. So they say mustahab. Karahatul juluz. It is makruh. And this is also Hanafi and Hanabila, and some Shafi'iyya have taken this opinion because they have differed about it naskh. Because there's a hadith where some said we stood for the angels and so on. Allahu a'lam. So seems like Imam Bukhari takes the opinion that you should stand. You should stand. It is mustahab. Nah. So واختار غير واحد so معاصرين, the contemporary scholars, they've taken استحباب القيام للجنازة في مسألته. It is mustahab to stand for both issues. Yeah. في حالة مرورها بالقاعد. So if a janaza passes by you, this is what contemporary scholars. وفي حالة وصولها للمقبرة للدفن. If somebody has gone to the graveyard, it's mustahab. اعتمادنا على الأدلة الصريحة التي جاء فيها القيام للجنازة, because the hadiths are very clear. No? من قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وفعله وعدم ثبوت ما يدل على الناس, and there's no evidence of abrogation. نعم. Because some scholars have said it is abrogated because later on the Rasul said وما ترك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم القيامة في بعض الأحيان فهو لبيان الجواز. Why did the Rasul leave it? Like he did not stand sometimes, because to show that it's not compulsory. It's just to show that it's jaiz for you to sit down, but it's mustahab. Mustahab. So this is the opinion. Allahu a'lam. And this is what seems like the opinion of Imam Bukhari. باب من تبع جنازة فلا يقعد حتى تودع عن مناكب الرجال فإن قعد أمر بالقيام. Whoever accompanies a funeral procession should not sit till the coffin is put down. Coffin from the shoulders of the man, and if someone sits before this, then he is ordered to stand up. He's ordered. So it seems like he thinks it's. I mean, the opinion which Imam Bukhari is taking is واجب. نعم الله أعلم. قال حدثنا مسلم حدثنا هشام حدثنا يحيى عن أبي سلمة عن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا رأيتم الجنازة فقوموا فمن تبعها فلا يقود حتى تودع. Where companies should not sit till the coffin is put down. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, Babu man qama li janazati Yahudi, standing for the funeral procession of a Jew. Now this is a third issue, which is do you stand for non-Muslims and Jews and Christians and mushriks and so on. قال حدثنا معاذ بن فضالة حدثنا هشام يحيى عن عبيد الله بن مقسم عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنه قال مر بنا جنازة فقام لها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقلنا يا رسول الله إنها جنازة يهودي قال إذا رأيتم الجنازة فقولوا. A funeral procession. This, inshallah, later on, the Prophet did not stand. A funeral procession passed in front of us, and the Prophet stood up, and we too stood up, and he said, "Oh Allah's Messenger, this is the funeral procession for Jew." He said, whenever you see a funeral procession, you should stand up, and he gave a footnote. Footnote that this order was cancelled by the last action according to Hadith narrated by Ali in Sahih Muslim. It's in Sahih Muslim. Okay. قال حدثنا آدم حدثنا شعبة حدثنا عمرو بن مرة قال سمعت عبد الرحمن بن أبي ليلى قال كان سهل بن حنيف وقيس بن سعد قاعدين بالقادسية فمروا عليهما بجنازة فقام فقيل لهما إنها من أهل الأرض أي من أهل الذمة فقال إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مرت به جنازة فقام فقيل له إنها جنازة يهودي فقال أليست نفسا. Night Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla, Sahil ibn Hunayf, and Qais ibn Sa'ad were sitting in the city of Al-Qadisiyah. A funeral procession passed in front of them. This was later on, and they stood up. They were told that the funeral procession was one of the inhabitants of the land, that is of a disbeliever, under the protection of Muslims. And Dhimma, Dhimma. They said a funeral procession passed in front of the Prophet Sallallahu and he stood up. When he was told that it was a coffin of a Jew, is it not a human being? See the footnote of Hadith 1311. See this footnote. Now, this is the opinion which they have taken. Allahu Alam. But these Sahaba or these Tabi'in, I don't know who they are. Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla, Sahal ibn Hunayf. They seem like Sahaba. You have to see anyways. They stood up. And 1313 is also the same. وقال أبو حمزة عن الأعمش عن عمرو عن أبي ليلى قال كنت مع قيس وسهل رضي الله عنهما. Yeah, they are Sahaba because they have رضي الله عنهما here. فقال كنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال because they say we were obviously they are Sahaba because they're saying we were with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. وقال زكريا عن شعبي عن ابن أبي ليلى كان أبو مسعود وقيس يقومان للجنازة. Abu Masud and Qais, they should stand for the janaza. باب حمل رجال الجنازة دون النساء. So who should carry the janaza? They translated janaza as coffin, no? قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن عبد الله حدثنا الليث عن سعيد المقبوري عن أبيه أنه سمع أبا سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا وضعت الجنازة واحتملها الرجال على أعناقهم فإن كانت صالحة قالت قدموني وإن كانت غير صالحة قالت يا ويلها أين تذهبون بها يسمع صوتها كل شيء إلا الإنسان ولو سمعه السائق. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the funeral is ready and the men carry out, on the shoulder. So men, the point is here, the men, not the women. If the deceased was righteous, it will say, Qaddimoni, present me, hurry, hurry. And if it was not righteous, it will say, woe to me, ya wailaha, aina tadhabuna biha, where are you taking me? Its voice is heard by everything except mankind. May Allah make us from the ones who say, Qaddimoni, Qaddimoni. Inshallah. And if he heard, he would fall unconscious. If man would hear it, he would fall unconscious. باب السرعة سرعة بالجنازة. hurrying up. So nowadays, what happens is someone dies, what they do is 2-3 days, they put in the ice box and these things. This should not be done. You should do it quickly. Quickly. وقال أنس أنتم مشيعون فامشي بين يديها وخلفها وعن يمينها وعن شمالها وقال غيره قريبا منها. Anas said, whenever you accompany a funeral procession, you should go in front, behind, to the right, and to the left. Someone also said, and close to it, قريبا منها. Don't just follow it, you can go anywhere. قال حدثنا علي بن عبد الله حدثنا. That's what Anas said. حدثنا سفيان قال حفظناه من الزهري عن سعيد بن المسيب عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أسرعوا بالجنازة فإن تكو صالحة فخير تقدمونها إليه وإن تكو سوى ذلك فشر تدعونه عن رقابكم. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, hurry up with the dead body, for if it was righteous, you are forwarding it to a good thing, and if it was otherwise not righteous, then you are putting off an evil thing down your necks. Subhanallah. باب قول الميت وهو على الجنازة قدموني. And the جنازة will say قدموني, the righteous slave, the righteous person. قال حدثنا عبد الله بن يوسف حدثنا الليث حدثنا سعيد عن أبيه أنه سمع أبا سعيد. This is from أبو سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا وضعت الجنازة فاحتملها الرجال على أعناقهم. Same hadith. وإن كانت صالحة قالت قدموني وإن كانت غير ذلك قالت لأهلها يا ويلها أين يذهبون بها يسمع صوتها كل شيء إلا الإنسان ولو سمع الإنسان لصعق. The Prophet said, when a funeral is ready and the men carry it on the shoulders, if it was pious, they'll say, قدموني, present me quickly. And if it was not pious, they will say, woe to it. That means me. Where are they taking me? And its voice is audible to everything except a human being. And if he heard it, he would fall unconscious. باب من صف صفين أو ثلاثة على الجنازة خلف الإمام. Who made two or three rows behind the Imam. This is an opinion, right? Now, when you're praying janazah, what happens is, some people, because there's a hadith of making it witr, making an odd number, so they cut off the janazah. So if the saf is like this, you should stand till here. They cut off 1, 2, 3, and they stand in middle like this. But this is not correct. You have to fill the first saf. Now, in all salawat, because of the am hadith. If it happens to be odd, that's fine. If it happens to be even, that's fine. Now, so I mean, there's people argue a lot about this. باب حدثنا مسدد بن أبي عوانة عن قتادة عن عطاء عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى على النجاشي فكنت في الصف الثاني والثالث. I was in the second or third row. Jabir, the Rasul performed this is janaza ghaiba, no? Najashi, when he passed away, Rasul performed the salah here in Medina, and I was in the second or third row. باب الصفوف على الجنازة. How many rows for funeral prayer? قال حدثنا مسدد حدثنا يزيد بن زريع حدثنا معمر عن زهري عن سعيد عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه نعى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى أصحاب النجاشي ثم تقدم فصفوا خلفه فكبر أربعا. And the Prophet ﷺ informed his companions about the death of Najashi. Then he went ahead and the people lined up. So one thing is for sure, you have to make sufuf in janazah also, and lined up behind him in rows. And he said 4 takbirs. He said 4 takbirs. Janazah, that's how you pray, no? 4 takbirs. You say Allahu Akbar, and then you recite Fatiha and another surah if you want. You should not read Allahumma ba'id bayni wa subhanaka Allahumma yuhamdika tabarak asmuk. That is not proven. Say A'udhu Billah and say Bismillah and then do Fatiha and then Allahu Akbar, and then you raise or not raise your hands. Well, it depends. Both are there, inshallah ta'ala. Like in Eid and Janazah, there's a difference of opinion. You raise or you do not. Then you say Allahu Akbar. I raise my hands. Then you say Allahu Akbar and then send salat on Rasulullah Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Then you do Allahu Akbar, the third, and then you say the dua, which are proven from the Rasul, or general duas also. If you don't remember the dua, you can say Allahumma ighfir lahu warhamhu wa adkhilhu al-jannah, or something similar. inshallah ta'ala. But Allahumma aghfir li hayyina wa mayyitina wa shahidina wa ghaibina, and other du'as, Allahumma afu anhu wa afu an, right? Um, these du'as you can make. And then after the fourth takbir, you say the salam. Now, should you say it the sunnah, inshallah, we can do it both. Or, I mean, the more authentic is only one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. But the second is also jaiz. We have to read Shaykh Albani's book on janaza, inshallah, someday. Hadith 1319. Here they do it twice, but you can do once also, and that is more proven from what I remember and what I know. قال حدثنا مسلمون حدثنا شعبة حدثنا الشيباني عن الشعبي قال أخبرني من شهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أتى على قبر منبوذ فصفهم وكبر عربا. قلت يا أبا عمرو من حدثك؟ قال ابن عباس. الشيباني: I was informed by a man who saw the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم coming to a grave, and he was separate from the other graves, and he aligned the people. And this might be the person who used to sweep, a woman who used to sweep, or the man who used to sweep the masjid, and he passed away. Prophet went to the grave and prayed janazah and said for takbir. I said, "Oh, Abu Amr, who narrated to you?" He said, Ibn Abbas, because he just said a man narrated. So he asked, who is that person? قال حدثنا إبراهيم بن موسى أخبرنا هشام بن يوسف أن ابن جريج أخبرهم قال أخبرني عطاء أنه سمع جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما يقول قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قد توفي اليوم رجل صالح من الحبش فهلم فصلوا عليه. قال فصففنا فصلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عليه ونحن صفوف. قال أبو الزبير عن جابر كنت في الصف الثاني. And this is the hadith about Najashi. Today a pious man from Ethiopia has expired. Come on to offer the funeral prayer. Jabir said we lined up in rows, and Prophet offered the funeral prayer for him, and we were no. Jabir said I was in the second row. Babu Sufuf is Sibyan Ma'arijal fil Janaiz. How about children? Can they join? Obviously, yes. قال حدثنا موسى بن اسماعيل حدثنا عبد الواحد حدثنا الشيباني عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه ان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم مر بقبر قد دفن ليلا فقال متى دفن هذا؟ فقالوا البارحة. قال فلا آذنتموني؟ قالوا دفناه في ظلمة الليل فكرهنا أن نوقظك. فقام فصففنا خلفه. قال ابن عباس وأنا فيهم فصلى عليه. Ibn Abbas was in there, so he took the point that children can also stand. Ibn Abbas was young at that time. Allah's Messenger passed by a grave of a deceased who had been buried at night. He asked, when was this deceased buried? The people said, yesterday. Then he said, why did you not inform me? They said, we buried him when it was dark, and so we disliked you to wake you up. He stood up and we stood behind him. Ibn Abbas said, I was one of them. And the Prophet offered the funeral prayer. Babu sunnati salati ala al-janazah. The legal way, the sunnah way of offering salah on the janazah. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet said, Man صلى على الجنازة وقال صلوا على صاحبكم. Whoever offered the funeral prayer and also said offer the funeral prayer for your friend. وقال صلوا على النجاشي. سماها صلاة. He called it salah. Offer the prayer. Also there is neither bowing and prostration. ليس فيها ركوع ولا سجود ولا يتكلم فيها وفيها تكبير وتسليم. وكان ابن عمر لا يصلي إلا طاهرا ولا يصلي عند طلوع الشمس ولا غروبها ويرفع يديه. وقال الحسن أدركت الناس وحقهم على جنائز من رضوه لفرائدهم. وإذا أحدث يوم العيد أو عند الجنازة يطلب الماء ولا يتيمم. وإذا انتهى إلى الجنازة وهم يصلون يدخل معهم بتكبيرة. وقال ابن المسيب يكبر بالليل والنهار والسفر والحضر أربعة. وقال أنس رضي الله عنه تكبيرة الواحدة استفتاح الصلاة. وقال ولا تصلي على أحد منهم مات أبدا وفيه صفوف وإمام. He called it salah. Also there was neither bowing or prostration nor loud recitation, and they are takbir and taslim. Ibn Umar never offered the funeral prayer without ablution, nor at sunrise, nor at sunset. So because janazah should not be done at this time, so sunrise and sunset, and used to raise both his hand at the time of saying takbir. So this shows us of Ibn Umar's, he used to raise his hand. Al-Hasan al-Basri said, I noticed the people regarding as the most deserving man to lead the funeral prayer, the one whom they were satisfied to lead them in compulsory salah. That means the one who used to lead them in faraid, same person was leading in janazah. If a person has hadath on the Eid day, or during the funeral prayer, he should look for water and should not perform tayammum. Hmm? That means he should do wudu. If anyone happens to pass by a funeral and the people are offering the funeral prayer, then it is advisable for him to join them by saying takbir. Ibn al-Musayyab says, in funeral prayers, there are four takbirs. Whether the salah is offered at night or by day, in journey or at home, it's always four takbirs. Anas said one takbir for starting the salah, and quoting Quran, it says, and never pray any one of them who dies on the hypocrites. O Prophet Sallallahu. And in the funeral prayer, there are rows and Imam also. Then he brings a hadith. Anything he brings like this, no? وَقَالَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, without a chain, it could be many things. One, he has already quoted the chain. He brought it somewhere else. Or it could be something because it does not meet his category of chain. So he brings ta'liq. They're called mu'allaq. And everything is authentic in Bukhari. Inshallah ta'ala. Everything mu'allaqat are authentic because they are proven, and many books are also written, the mu'allaqat Sahih Bukhari, where he does not bring the chain. But they have been proven from other ahadith, but they don't meet the level which he wanted for the chains. That means he want the narrators to meet. Meeting should be proven. Allahu alam. The same thing, the ta'liqat of Imam Muslim, sometimes, it's a problem. Allahu alam. So anything, remember, between Sahih Bukhari, they are sometimes mentioned without chains, or mentioned the quotes of the Tabi'in and all that. That could be, question. But anything he brings with the chain, musnad, is authentic. Now, and you have to understand it clearly. You have to understand it clearly, because many people say, oh, everything, every letter in Sahih Bukhari is proven, is authentic. No. We say everything which is relating to the Prophet, yes. Because there's a hadith of, which is the quote of Zuhri, where the Prophet attempted suicide. We talked about it that time in the starting first volume. That is Fima Balagana. Imam Zuhri says, what has reached us? It is without a chain. So that it could be questioned, and there's a problem. Allahu A'lam. So Haddathana Sulaiman ibn Harb qala Haddathana Shu'bah. Like the Quran, if somebody puts wrong verse numbers, or he puts wrong this thing, we don't say it's from the Quran. These numbers, these ayats, or some decorations in the Quran, that is not from the Quran. Only the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Quran. If somebody makes a mistake in the name of the surah, instead of writing Surah Al-Fatiha, he writes some other surah's name or whatever, that's not from the Quran anyways. They write on top, no? Surah Al-Fatiha, it has so many verses. If he writes the wrong number, for example, doesn't matter. قال حدثنا شعبة عن شيباني عن شعبي قال أخبرني من مر مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيكم صلى الله عليه وسلم على قبر منبوذ فأمنه فصففنا خلفه فقلنا يا أبا عمرو ومن حدثك قال ابن عباس. Somebody who passed along with the Prophet ﷺ passed by a grave that was separate from the other grave, informed me saying the Prophet ﷺ led us and we aligned behind him. Or Abu Amr, who informed you? Ibn Abbas. Babu Fadl Ittiba' al-Janaiz. قال زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنه إذا صليت فقد قضيت الذي عليك. وقال حميد بن هلال يا. See, again he said وقال زيد without a chain. Zayd ibn Thabit رضي الله عنه said إذا صليت, if you have offered the prayer, then you have paid what is due. قضيت الذي عليك. وقال حميد بن هلال ما علمنا على الجنازة إذنا. We do not think that it is necessary to take the permission of relative. Nowadays they take permission of relative, but it's not required. ولكن من صلى ثم رجع فله قيرات. But whoever offers a prayer will have a reward of 1 qirat. It is a great reward. Qirat is like 1 Uhud mountain reward. قال حدثنا أبو النعمان حدثنا جرير بن حازم قال سمعت نافعا يقول حدث ابن عمر أن أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه يقول من تبع جنازة فله قيرات. فقال أكثر أبو هريرة علينا. Abu Nu'man Jarir ibn Hazim says, and Nafi was told that Abu Hurairah said, whoever accompanies the funeral procession will have a reward equal to 1 qirat. So praying 1 qirat and following another qirat, 2 qirats. Ibn Umar said Abu Hurairah talks of an enormous reward. he talks about, but this is the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فصدقت يعني عائشة أبا هريرة. عائشة attested Abu Hurairah's narration وقال سمعت الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقوله. فقال ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما لقد فرطنا في قراريط كثيرا. فرطت ضيعت من أمر الله. So Ibn Umar was like, what, Abu Hurairah is saying such a great reward. Then Aisha radiallahu anha said, I heard the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that. Ibn Umar said, indeed, we have lost numerous qirat. That means many times he might have gone without praying janazah and not following it. Now, farrata is like dayya. Babu. Babu man intadara hatta tudfan. Whoever waits till the deceased is buried. قال حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة قال قرأت على ابن أبي ذئب عن سعيد بن أبي سعيد المقبوري عن أبيه أنه سأل أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. وحدثنا أحمد بن شبيب بن سعيد قال حدثني أبي حدثنا يونس قال ابن شهاب وحدثني عبد الرحمن الأعرج أن أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من شهد الجنازة حتى يسلي فله قيرات ومن شهد حتى تدفن كان له قيراطان. قيل وما القيراطان؟ مثل الجبلين العظيمين. Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, whoever attends the funeral prayer till he offers the funeral prayer of it will get a reward to 1 qirat, and whoever accompanies it till burial will get a reward of 2 qirat. Right? So you read salah and then you follow, you get 2. Only if you pray the salah, you'll get only 1. It was asked, what are 2 qirat? He replied, like 2 huge mountains. Again, he brings a hadith of a child. Babu Salatu Sibyan Ma'an Nas al Jannah. The offering of funeral prayers by boys along with men. Obviously they can. He brought Ibn Abbas hadith before also. No. قال حدثنا يعقوب بن إبراهيم حدثنا يحيى بن أبي بكير حدثنا زائدة حدثنا أبو إسحاق الشيباني عن عامر بن عباس رضي الله عنهما أتى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is the same hadith. قالوا هذا دفن أو دفنت البارحة. قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما فصففنا خلفه ثم صلى عليها. Ibn Abbas said, we are lying behind the Prophet and he offered the funeral prayer for the deceased. Babu salati ala janaiz bil musalla wal masjid. Now, where should you pray the janazah? It could be done in the musalla, at a musalla, and in the masjid. Some masajid have a special place for janazah, and from other hadith it goes, it's better to pray outside the masjid in a special place, but in the masjid is also allowed, from the hadith of Aisha radhiyallahu anha, because when there was no space, it was prayed in the masjid. So you have to see in this mas'ala. But nowadays it happens in masajid only. قال حدثنا يحيى بن بكير حدثنا ليس بن عقيل عن ابن شهاب عن سعيد بن المسيب وابي سلمة انهما حدثاه عن ابي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال نعلنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نجاشي صاحب الحبشة اليوم الذي مات فيه فقال استغفروا لأخيكم. And this was done. Allah's Messenger. So this hadith shows us that Najashi passed away and he prayed or something. So it shows us that it might have been done in the masjid itself. There's no place that they went out and prayed. Ask Allah's forgiveness for your brother. This shows that it was done in the masjid. وعن ابن شهاب حدثني سعيد بن المسيب أن أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه قال إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صفى بهم بالمصلى. He did it in the musalla. فكبر عليه أربعا. It was done in the musalla and set for takbir for the funeral prayer for him. So this hadith shows that it was done in the musalla. Now, does musalla means the masjid, or was a separate musalla for the janaiz made? Allahu a'lam. We have to see that. فيه نظر. قال حدثنا إبراهيم بن المنذر حدثنا أبو ضمرة قال حدثنا موسى بن عقبة عن نافع عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه أن اليهود جاءوا إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم برجل منهم وامرأة زنيا فأمر بهما فرجما قريبا من موضع الجنائز عند المسجد. Now this place tells us, this hadith tells us that there was a place for janazah. There was a musalla for that. The Jews brought to the Prophet a man and a woman from amongst them who have committed illegal sexual intercourse. He ordered both of them to be stoned to death near the place of offering the funeral prayer besides the mosque. So it was done besides the mosque. So Inshallah, the mustahab which we understand is that it should be done outside the mosque or besides the mosque. If there's place, if there's in a village or somewhere, but in cities, very difficult, no? So it's done in the masjid itself. Allahu A'lam. I think we can stop here, inshallah ta'ala. We'll do from Hadith 1330 in our next class. Oh, let's just do it. We can start from 1331. Babu ma yukrahu min al-masajid min ittikhadhi al-masajid. So it should not, nowadays, they have graves and they build masjids, but just not do that. What is disliked? It's not do that, and salah is not accepted. ولما مات الحسن بن علي رضي الله عنهما ضربت امرأة القبة على قبره سنة ثم رفعت فسمعوا صايحا يقول ألا هل وجدوا ما فقدوا فجابه آخر بل يئسوا فانقلبوا. When Al Hassan ibn Hassan son, that is the grandson of Ali radiallahu anhu, passed away, his wife pitched a tent on his grave and it remained there for 1 year. Then was demolished. They heard a voice saying, "Have they found what they lost?" A second voice replied, "No." They returned in despair. I mean, there was no point in doing that. Maybe Jinn told. I don't know who told. قال حدثنا عبيد الله بن موسى عن شيبان الهلال هو الوزان عن عروة عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في مرضه الذي مات فيه لعن الله اليهود والنصارى اتخذوا قبور أنبيائهم مسجدا. قالت ولولا ذلك لأبرز قبره غير أني أخشى أن يتخذ مسجدا. The Prophet ﷺ in his fatal illness said, Allah cursed the Jews and Christians because they took the graves of the Prophet as places of worship, masajid. Aisha, had it not been for that, the grave of the Prophet ﷺ would have been made prominent, but I'm afraid it might be taken as a place of worship. Now, so it was done 100 years after Prophet ﷺ passing away, like 100 Hijri, after the Hijrah. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, I believe, he was the one who did it, and many people who were alive, they said, what's going on? You should not have added. Nowadays, the the qabr of Rasulullah is the Rawda is within the masjid, the qabr, if you call it. It should have been outside, but they have added it. So the next kings, whoever came, they did not extend at that side of the masjid. No. So that should not be taken as an evidence. Oh, it's there over there. So let's build masjids over graves. No. No. You don't, because there's so many hadiths where also some curse the ones who take, who build, and there's no prayer over there, inshallah. So wherever you go, it's very common here. Almost, various masajid have graves in them. So you should be careful of praying there. Inshallah ta'ala, from 1331, we just did 30 ahadith today. Inshallah, we'll read from here. Babu Salati al-Nufasai Ramatat fi Nafasiha, who died during delivery of a child. Inshallah, we'll do it in our next class. Barakallahu feekum, Jazakallahu Khairan, Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.